Well, after the long Passion, perhaps I'll just give a very short homily, a prompts for thought. First of all, why not take home your little leaflet and read it throughout the week? Maybe read it together as a family. You might sort of break it up into little parts. And you could discuss together, take different roles like we did today, or maybe meet with friends and do this, and take a role each, and then maybe talk about what we've read. And you might find things that help you to pray and help us to understand the Passion. In Luke's Gospel, we have quite a few references to Jesus praying, and so we might think, well, what did Jesus say when he prayed? You could talk to each other about that. You might think about the role of women, that's very prominent in Luke's Gospel and their part. We might think about the injustice of Jesus' death, particularly perhaps Pilate, who had Jesus condemned even though he could see he was innocent, about the hypocrisy and the deceit that the Jews were really addressing, Jewish authorities were addressing Jesus because they thought he was blaspheming, and yet they made up a charge of insurrection so that he might be crucified by the Romans. And most of all, perhaps we might think of the agony that Jesus endured and why he freely accepted to die on the cross. One little point that I might draw myself then would be the veil of the temple. It's only a little verse. Why was the veil of the temple torn in two? It's one little point that we might pass over. It wasn't just God throwing down like lightning and so on, making a threat at people. The reason is because the temple, as we see in the whole of Luke's Gospel, great emphasis, I've mentioned this several times, about the journey of Jesus is a pilgrimage towards Jerusalem, and particularly the temple. And in the Passion, the role of the temple is ended. In the temple was the focus of the cult of sacrifices offered for sin. And as we read in the letter to the Hebrews, again and again, people offered sacrifices for sin, but that wasn't enough. But what we have now is the new sacrifice, once and for all, the Passion of Jesus dying on the cross for our sins. That has now said there is no need for a temple cult. Jesus' one sacrifice on the cross is sufficient to take away our sins. And as we read at the beginning of the Passion, of course, Jesus instituted the Eucharist. And it's through the Eucharist that, most particularly, that we're made present at the foot of the cross and enter into this wonderful mystery of Jesus' death and resurrection, what we call the Paschal mystery, the mystery of Jesus' suffering. God loved us so much, each one of us, so much, that he sent his own Son into the world to die for us, to take away our sins. So this is Holy Week, the most important week of our year, when we stop and think, yes, we've got work to do, we've got things to be done. But this week in particular, and through the liturgical services that we have on Maundy Thursday evening, on Good Friday at 3 o'clock, and on Holy Saturday night, next Saturday in the evening, we remember most solemnly God's eternal love for us, intense love for us, and we offer him praise and worship for this love. Let's try and make this week very special by trying gradually through the week to read the Passion of Jesus, the greatest love story ever told.